And we are live back from our little hiatus. Football No Filter is back. I am your host, Brun Krak. I am with my two co hosts. George, how are you?
What's going on? Everything good?
Everything good? Nelson, how are you?
I'm good, brother. Good.
All right, so we did miss several weeks due to our scheduling conflict, but we are back. No, we didn't die. We are all here. No one is running. No one is in a under a rock. We're all here, and we're all ready to talk about our clubs. So I'll quickly go through the table for the Portuguese league. We did have a very interesting week last week. Round 13, Portimonense 0, Porto 3, Benfica 1, Sporting 3, Boa Vista and Marítimo 1-1, Paços Ferreira 1, Guimarães 2, Santa Clara 2, Aruca 1, Gil Vicente 4, Famalicão 0, Braga 2, Estoril 0, Vizela Bolonense SAD or BSAD, Tondela and Moreirense did not play. So before we even get into the table, I'm going to start with you, George, because you were directly impacted the other day about the BSAD. Do you agree or do you disagree that these games were postponed?
You talking about
Vizela
the
Bolonense and Tondela Moreirense.
look? I'm not going to argue if I agree or if I don't agree. My argument is that there should be clear rules where it doesn't change from week to week. That's my argument. My argument, I don't think the Belenenses Benfica game should have been played. I think not only it's not fair for Belenenses, but it creates a health risk for all involved in the game. Look, Benfica has nothing to win. I mean, Benfica has nothing to win with playing Belenenses, even with 9 players. Benfica, I saw them playing or going in with masks and stuff like that. They could have gotten somebody could have gotten infected, and then get other players infected, and then look at the month that we have this month. We have the game today. We have 2 games against Porto. It just nobody wins by doing this. But again, it's just another example of how our league, our country, works. It's an embarrassment. Basically, that's what it was. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing, I think, for everyone involved. Doesn't matter what club you defend or you root for. I just think it was an embarrassing episode, and I think maybe the smartest thing was to do what they did, which was postpone the games this last weekend. But I believe the Belenenses Benfica the same thing should have happened, and it shouldn't be the teams that need to agree to a future date to make up for the game. It should be the league stepping in and just saying, okay, you guys are going to play on this date, and that's it. And there's no choice. But when you leave it up to nobody really to decide, this is what you get. You get international news and not good news.
Nelson, I'm gonna turn it to you. Do you agree or disagree?
No, I think the game's being canceled this week. I agree with them. Like George mentioned, Portugal is always the same shit. Like we always reacting instead of being proactive, and that's what sucks. First, we need a big ass fiasco to happen, and then once that happens, then all of a sudden, like let's sit down, let's try to make some changes, let's try to make some rule changes. But it was an embarrassment. I mean, it was talked about all over the world, so it was definitely a big embarrassment. And but as far as like the teams coming up with a date to play, I also agree with George. I think the league should be like, the league knows all the calendar. The league knows who's playing, who has European games, who doesn't, who's playing for the cup, who's not. So they know when there's availability for these teams to play. So the league should just step in and be like, guys, you playing this day, and that's it. Nah, hey, can you now one team asking the other team, can we do this? No, just come in, be like, you play this day. You don't want to play, you both lose. I don't give a shit. Or if one team agrees to play and the other team doesn't want to play, then that team loses. That's it. But like just got to do a better job. Hopefully, this will not happen again. But knowing that it's Portugal, it probably will.
I think I voiced this already. I don't agree with them postponing these games, and for the only reason being is that now you're going to have teams that are going to be playing 34 games and other teams only playing 33, and the end of the tour or the end of the league is not correct. Um, but that's just me. I think there's going to be a lot of there's. Let's hope that this game doesn't influence the outcome of the league, because if it is, there's going to be an asterisk at the end of it, and no one wants to have an asterisk at the end of their title. So
I don't think it will though. I think that I know what you're talking about, but I think that team will be 7 points behind before the end of the month.
we'll get to that in a second. All right. So the league does. This is the standings right now. Porto and Sporting are tied at top of the league at 35 points. Benfica 31, Braga 25, Estoril 21. Portimonense now drops to 20. Guimarães at 19, Gil Vicente 17, Aroca 13 points. Tondela Boa Vista are tied at 12. Marítimo and Paços Ferreira 11. By the way, Marítimo is back playing at home. Paços Ferreira as 11. Famalicão and Vizela and Santa Clara are at 10. Santa Clara won their first game since August. This past weekend. Moreirense 9 and Belenenses 8, but both of them are minus one game. I'll turn back to you, George. Down at the bottom of the table, we like to always talk about this. Anything that you see that is interesting, should we keep an eye on it or not so much?
I mean, not so much. I mean, Belenenses, I think they need to take a ride down to the second division, at least the second division, because that place is a shit show. And Moreirense, Santa Clara. I'm surprised about Vizela. Vizela is holding tight at 15th place. But it's still, again, you look at the freaking stats, and you could jump to ninth place with a win. So it's still it's still close, still early, but
It is
nothing.
very. It is very.
Paços Ferreira being in the bottom there, I think that's surprising to me. The club itself, the name of the club, a club that's been that's done well for the last few years. And again, just 11 points. A couple of losses and a couple of wins by a couple of other teams, and they're in the relegation zone. So I would say that's a surprise for me.
Okay. Nelson, same question to you. Anything down at the bottom that you would be concerned with?
No, I mean it's a 4 point difference between 18th place and 10th place, which is crazy. Like usually 13 games into the season, it's not like that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But it's like so bunched up right now. I don't like seeing Marítimo coming up a little bit. I want them to go back down, so hopefully they'll start losing again. But no, I mean, like right now, from 9th place to 18th place, it's a 5 point difference. So only Gil Vicente is 4 points above that. So right now, between 9th and 18th, anybody can go down. That's how crazy it is right now. So I mean, well, that's not surprising at all. Like it's actually good. It's gonna be pretty. A couple teams probably will get hot and stuff and win a couple games in a row, and all of a sudden they have a 6 point lead over these teams. But right now, it's all bunched up, which is pretty interesting.
I think this is going to be a race all the way to the end. If Santa Clara could start winning some games, they might get themselves out of some trouble, but it's going to be rough. All right, let's move forward to the big game of the week. Actually, we'll do Portimonense Porto first because there's not too much to talk about. Samuel Portugal was in goal. William Posignolo and Enrique was the center backs. Mofi, Carlinhos, Sa, Candé, Angulo, Fabricio, and Mort for Portimonense. For Porto was Diogo Costa, Manafá, Mabemba, Cardoso, and Zaidu, Otávio, Vitinha, Uribe, and Luis Diaz, Ivanilson, and Taremi. My take of it was very simple. I think Porto controlled a lot of this game. A lot has to be said about Vitinha and Uribe in the middle. They just destroyed Portimonense attempt at any type of counterattacks. They were able to recover the ball relatively quick. Luis Diaz and Otavio obviously very active on the outside. Otavio cutting to the outside in and creating that third man that really confused a lot of the Portimonense midfield. And then Taremi and Ivan Nielsen up top were a problem for the the three center backs. Overall, I thought Vitinha was the motor of the team. He's definitely the engine that makes the team go. Uribe is in good form. Obviously, Luis Diaz was with the free kick, and then there was the own goal there. Portimonense tried to turn things around when they changed their formation from a three center back system to a two center back system, and pushing one of the center backs to center defensive mid to gain or to try to stop Otavio, and it just wasn't working because then Porto was beating him on the outside. I think overall Portimonense was they're the fourth best defense in the league. They were fourth place going into this game. They are one of the harder teams to beat at home. Porto got 3 precious points. They try to defeat this team as quickly as they could. Thinking about what's going forward with Atletico, which we'll get, we'll cover at the later on in the show. Nelson, what was your thoughts on the Portimonense Porto game?
No, it was a game Porto dominated. It took a long time to break it down. I mean, Porto didn't score until os descontos na primeira parte, on an own goal by Portimonense. But I don't think that game was ever in question. And like you mentioned, Portimonense is having a great season so far. Are they back down to fifth, or are they still in fourth? Fifth, right?
They're in sixth.
Oh, they went to sixth. So Estoril is in fifth. Okay, and Porto scored at the end of the first half, and then they scored another 2 late goals, and that's a problem. And we can sit here and say Porto won 3-0, but once we talk about the other game, that's the thing. Sometimes they struggle to score goals. I mean. They should have been up more at the end of the first half, and they actually only scored at the end of the first half. And then they didn't get to score again until the 70th minute, I believe, 70 or 71st minute.
Yes, yeah.
So once again, late in the second half. So that's an issue they have. But it was a game that Porto dominated, and a big 3 points for Porto, because that's not an easy place to get points, and they got all 3. So
yeah, Portimonense was hanging on because they were sustaining the Porto attacks. They were definitely making them work. But once Vitinha scored the second goal, you can probably, if you look at the video, the body language of the players for Portimonense kind of just said, "Well, that's it.
yeah, exactly.
We don't have a shot no more," because offensively they really didn't exist much. Diogo Costa did make a gigantic save on Fabricio, in which he was able to beat Mabimba, which Mabimba I thought had a very bad game overall. Cardozo was actually the guy that was bailing him out a lot of the times, believe it or not. Munafa was, again, horrible. Zaidu was okay. But overall, if it wasn't for Porto applying the pressure on Portimonense, and Portimonense was trying to, or was able to counterattack, that would have been a problem. George, take it away. Sorry. Nelson, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, and I don't know if you noticed, that's become a big topic in all our shows when we talk about Porto, is the defense. It's we always talk about their defense, and I think I mentioned last show it sucks when your best defender is a guy that's almost 40 years old. It's a problem.
George, how about you?
No, I mean, I think it was as I expected. I thought it was an easy game for Porto, playing against one of their B teams. So you look at the stats, and it was pretty much runaway train over here. I like the fact that They put Fabio Cardozo in. I think he deserves some playing time. I think it's enough. What they've done to what Porto's done to him this year. You had one of the best players for last season, and a lot of talk about going to different teams and so on, and then Porto goes and picks him up and then just sits him, almost the whole season so far. So it was good to see him play. But yeah, I mean, I think it was an easy game. I think it was expected to Porto to win. Even if Portimonense had a penalty, they would have kicked the field goal like Jackson Martinez did before, or any other reason. Portimonense is not going to beat Porto. But now, seriously though, Portimonense is not going to beat Porto. So Uribe is playing. Luis Diaz is playing off the hook. Uribe had a good game as well. Vitinha, I think these guys just now announced the renewal of contract, right, for Vitinha as well. I think it was last week or something like that.
No, that was Fabio Vieira.
Fabio Vieira. I thought it was Vitinha. But Vitinha signed already also at the beginning of the season, right? He extended as well.
Yeah, I think he extended the year before, but his clause has to change. I mean, we can't have a guy like that with just a clause of 20 million. I mean, he's got to be a lot higher.
Yeah, somebody will come and pick him up like they did with who was it? Dalot, right? Manchester United just came in and just pay the fine. Yeah, but easy win. It was a good win by Porto. Easy win.
All right, we're gonna move forward to the derby of lá dos Alfocinhas. Lá no Sexto Pão, it was Vlaco Dimos in goal, Almeida, Otamendi, Vertonghen, Lázaro, which we'll get into that in a second, Weigl, João Mário and Grimaldo, Rafa Silva, Nunes, and Everton. For Sporting, it was Adan, Neto, Inácio, and Fedal, Porro, Ugarte, Mateus, and Reis, Pot, Paulinho, and Sarabia. I'll start with you, George, because the guy that really stood out to me when I looked at the lineups was Lázaro. I have not seen him play much at all, and all of a sudden, Gableda decides to throw him in, and he shocked me. Did he shock you?
Look, to me that wasn't even the biggest surprise and the biggest shock, and one of the reasons where we just got tumbled over in our own place. To me, my surprise was Andre Almeida as the third center back. I think that's where Benfica lost the game, amongst other things, but that's where Benfica lost the game. I think Gableda, just because Gableda put him, I believe he put him in at the Central against Barcelona, and the game went okay for him in Barcelona. Jorge Jesus made the mistake of putting him against Sporting, and you can't compare. Let me see if I can explain this. Barcelona is a possession team. Barcelona is a tic-tac team. Barcelona is passing in small places, and then trying to get the plays up front, into open spaces and break through the defense. Andre Almeida, coming from almost a year off because of his knee surgery, he can stand playing in a game like that, even though you're playing against quote unquote Barcelona. When you play against Sporting, who for me is a counter-attack team, especially in the formation that Ruben Amorim puts the team playing again with these young kids that are super fast. Andre Almeida doesn't have legs for him. He didn't have legs for these kids before he had the surgery. How are you going to put him in a game now? 2-3 months coming out of his recuperation. How are you going to put him playing in a three central formation when you have Murata that played Champions Leagues? He played Champions League qualification games. He's played Champions League knockout stage games. Why are you adapting a right back to a center back when you have center backs, when you have Ferro, when you have Murat? to me, that's where Benfica lost the game. It just doesn't make Lazaro came in today and he did a good job. I like Lazaro. But to me, that's where Benfica lost the game, and they lost. They lost 3-1. They should have lost by more. Sporting did a great job, and we got to know that Sporting beat Benfica 3-1 easily, 3-1 without two of their more influential players, Padinha and Coates. So I think that says it all.
Nelson, your initial thoughts on the lineups? Did you agree with them? Did you not? And tell me a little bit about your observation of the game.
Yeah, I agree with the lineup. I thought that was the right lineup for Sporting to start with. I don't think he was right that Sporting started with 11. I think they should have started with 9. That's one thing I don't agree with. But listen, besides that, first half, I think Sporting had a very, very good first half. We scored a nice goal, 8 minutes. Saraiva, I think I've mentioned this every show, but the guy is a good player, and he just needed to get more comfortable. And he's starting to show more and more every week that he plays. It was a very good goal by him. So at the end of the first half, I think we should have been up at least 2-0. We were not. Second half, Benfica came out stronger. They needed to. They were down 1-0. They had 2 chances to tie the game. Counterattack, Sporting makes 2-0. The game was pretty much over, and then we make 3-0, and then the game was over. Now, as player-wise, is the player that I was surprised with. Not surprised, because I thought he was good last year, but we haven't seen much of him this year. I think Ugarte had a monster game. I mean, the guy came in for Palhinha. We did not miss Palhinha at all. I think he was pretty impressive. I think Gonçalo Inácio keeps proving more and more that you will be the center back for the national team soon, next to Ruben Dias. I think he'll be there. And now Mateus Nunes, I think the kid is a beast. I think the kid he has space and never looks back. He catches that ball midfield, just goes forward, leaves the whoever man is next to him behind, which is totally opposite of what João Mario used to do for us, because João Mario he's good at holding the ball, but he holds the ball too much and he passes it back. This kid doesn't know how to pass back. This kid grabs that ball and just goes forward like a truck. And that's awesome to watch. I think, Sporting has allowed 5 goals so far. And I remember last year, a lot of people were saying, oh, Sporting this, Sporting that, no fans, this and that. And I think I brought it up a lot of times, but Sporting had a great plan on defense, because we were the best defense last year. And once again, we by far the best defense. We allowed a goal in the 96th minute, but 13 games into the season, guys, we've allowed 5 goals. Well, you got to say that's pretty impressive. We don't score much, but when you allow pretty much 0 every fucking game, you have a chance to win. You don't need to score many to win. And they're doing it again this year like they did last year. I think Mateus Reis is getting better every week. I think
he is.
He's getting better every week. I think he had a very good game. And listen, Paulinho had a goal called back by a couple of centimeters, but he scored again. And Paulinho does the dirty work. He knows how to play with his back to the net. He knows how to open up spaces for the other guys, which is very important. So I think it was a great game overall, great by Sporting. Benfica got their periods, but I think and I see the victors. I said Neto played good, very good also, absolutely. Neto played very good, and Gaio, when Gaio came in for Fidel, he played real good also. I think we're very solid on defense. I think we are. I think we got a great midfield, and we struggle offensively sometimes, but hopefully that will get better. And I was very happy with what I saw.
Well, just my observation. The one thing I noticed, Sporting came out very aggressive. They did start fouling hard. I think they wanted to send the message early to Benfica that they were there to play the game. Doesn't matter if you agree with it or not. Physicality, sending a message early in a derby is going to be, it's very important. I think Sporting targeted João Mario. and they knocked him 2-3 times down, and then after that he was pretty much done after those hits. He was very hesitant about going into 50-50s. He shied away from the ball. I think they intimidated him quite a bit with those hits, and that does have an effect on any player when you start hitting them early. Another thing is Ugarte. A lot of people didn't really notice him throughout the game on the ball, but off the ball, he was very effective. I think Ruben Amorim had a very good strategy on how to nullify Rafa Silva. Rafa did have a ball off the post, but overall, he was a non-factor. Sublinga was a non-factor. Darwin had a ball off the post, but otherwise he wasn't very effective either. And Sporting played the counterattack perfectly, and every time they did counter, they were creating either full opportunities to score or half chances. At the end of the day, Sporting was better. Cableda got a tactical show, and there's really not this result is absolutely undisputable. I think Benfica fans are very upset with Cableda at the moment, and rightfully so. George, are you satisfied with Cableda as your coach, or do you think that maybe this just wasn't a good idea bringing him back?
I'm satisfied with today's results and what it means for Benfica. But when looking at the domestic competition, I'm not happy. Especially when we're up 4 points and now we're behind 4 points. I don't think it's a good thing, especially when you don't have COVID to blame this year. So it's not like your whole team got sick and you started losing points. The team just we could see the team, coming down, and it's the job of the coach to try to
pick him up,
try to pick them up, right? I remember, what was it, Vizela, when we scored in the last minute already, right? And we could see that right there, and then right after that, that's when we lost the 4 points. So
I think it was even prior. The Santa Clara game, you guys struggled heavily.
Well, yeah, but we didn't lose points, right? So it was after the Vizela one.
What I'm saying is the signs were already showing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we started the season. The first few games we started pretty well, but then the team just started. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because you lost the players, or I don't know. I don't think it's injuries. We didn't have that many. Well, we did. We had Seferovic got injured. Darwin Nunes got injured, but the team we have, we should be able to play against the freaking Vizelas and all these other teams without a couple of players like that. So that's not an excuse. So when you look at the overall picture, 2 years. This is the second year that he's here. We wasted, I don't know, 130 million maybe. We lost. We missed out on the Champions League last year. We lost everything last year. We lost the final of the what was it, the Taça de Liga? No, Taça of Portugal against Braga. We lost, right?
Yeah.
Against Braga, we lost the
Super Cup to Porto.
With Super Cup, we lost to Porto. And this year, the only good thing that came out of this year was the Champions League, the qualification that we got today. So if you look at it overall, I mean, does it justify the investment the investment on the team and the investment on the coaching staff? I don't think it does. If we go get somebody else, will they do better than what he's done with the team? There's no guarantees there either. So, look, I think Rui Costa is doing the right thing by not signing anything prematurely. I personally don't think that he's going to stay. I think if he was going to be staying at Benfica, they would have signed something already, especially after what he did to leave Benfica to go to Sporting. Right, he waited until January, and not rumors. It was almost confirmed by Bruno Carvalho in another podcast that he did. That they had something already negotiated after February of that year. So I think the fact that there's nothing signed and there's no announcement leads me to believe that he's not coming back next year. Who would I like to see coach Benfica? None of those Peppers and all those. Those are not. I don't think we'd be getting better by getting those players. You got 7 million. You're paying this guy 7 million. Go pay somebody 3 million and go get Leonardo Jardim in the Arabias and bring him to Benfica and give him an opportunity.
Nelson, I know that Molingas mentioned earlier that Ruben Amorim has denied an opportunity to go to Red Bull Leipzig. Do you agree with him doing that? 1, 2. Would Red Bull Leipzig be a good fit for Ruben Amorim?
I actually believe. Listen, I'm happy if it's true. If those news are true, I'm happy that he rejected it. Absolutely. I do think he would be good at Leipzig. Leipzig has money. Red Bull, they have money. They have good young players, and I think he can work with good young players. But at the same time, the language might be a problem. You know what I mean? I don't like coaches. Going to a country where they speak English is one thing, or Spanish is another thing. But when you start going to countries where they speak German and shit like that, I think it becomes a little tougher. But I do believe he will good. I think he can do good anywhere, to be honest with you. I think the guy, and I don't think he'll be in Sporting probably after this season. I got a feeling some big team is going to come and get him. Especially if Sporting wins the title again. You know what I mean?
Do you think that Manchester United is a possible move?
I think they probably would be interested if Sporting won the title this year. I listen. If he wins the title again, 2 years in a row after 19 years of not winning anything, he's got him in the final 16 of the Champions League. Let's say Sporting wins another round and goes to the last 8, and let's say Sporting goes far in the Portuguese Cup. Listen, some team is going to come get him. He's not staying in Portugal much longer, guys. He's definitely not. And I don't think he's going to coach an Everton or a team like that. I think it's going to be a bigger team than that.
Newcastle?
See, I don't think anybody wants to go to Newcastle. Newcastle is struggling to get players right now.
Not yet. The transfer window hasn't opened.
I know. But all the players that they were interested in, they pretty much already said no, that they don't want to go.
I had this discussion earlier on Facebook with one of our listeners, Arturo. He's actually Colombian, but he does follow the Portuguese league very closely. And the one thing I will tell you about Newcastle is this: despite the fact that they plan on spending 350 million euros in the month of January in the transfer window, at the end of the day, they're going to have to overpay salaries to lure players to go there. And I don't think they have much of an issue to do that. They're going to have to open their wallets. And let's just say, for example, and I'm just using my own team. If Luis Diaz, if they come in and they just drop 80 million euros on the table, Porto has to sell them. They have no other choice. They have to let them go. Same thing if they came and they dropped whatever the clause is for Pot or for Rafa or for any of those other players that we have on our teams. They're gonna say yes, because the amount of money that they're going to be able to make on salary at any of those any of those teams is going to be a ridiculous amount. And I think Newcastle is going to be a player somewhere in the in the transfer window of January. All right, we're going to move forward with the Champions League, because I know there's a lot of listeners that are going to want our opinions on what happened in the Champions League. So Porto obviously played Atletico. We lost 3-1. Sporting lost 4-2 at Ajax. Benfica was able to hold on to a 2-0 lead against Dynamo Kiev. and I believe Barcelona lost today. That is why Benfica and Sporting move on to the round of 16. Porto drops to the Europa League. I'll start with you, George. Was this something that you saw coming or not so much? Were you surprised with the overall of the three teams?
No, I mean, I was if you would have told me when we got the draw that we would be passing, I wouldn't have believed it. If you look at the names, if you look at the names, you look at Bayern Munich. I don't think anybody could really beat Bayern Munich right now. Barcelona, even the fact that they're not the Barcelona of a couple of years. You look at their squad, and they, on paper, they're I believe a better squad than Benfica on paper. But I think after our tie again in Kiev on the first round, I had even more doubts because I thought that you have to at least win both games against Kiev, gives you 6 points, and then you hope you do something. You hope you win or tie 2 games against Barcelona, and that would give us the the pass on to the second to the next round. But once the coach for Bayern confirmed that he was going to be playing with the starting lineup with the regular lineup, but I didn't think Barcelona could beat or tie Bayern Munich. So I was comfortable that we were going to get the help we needed on the Bayern Munich side. My concern was coming off of a 3-1 defeat against Sporting. 3 or 4 days later, and have to get a win against Dynamo Kiev. So, but I think the boys came out well. The first half, I thought it was a great first half. Even though Blanco Dimos, still did a couple throughout the game. He did some monster saves there throughout the game. But I think once we got the first goal by Yaremchuk, and I didn't see the team retrieve. I saw the team still, continue to attack, to press and attack. I felt a little bit better because, this Jorge Jesus team, when you compare it to the first time that Jorge Jesus was in Benfica, I think that's where the main difference is. Benfica would be in constant attack mode, for 90 minutes, and that's why we would really, get blowouts all the time. Now with this Jorge Jesus team, it's like Benfica scores a goal and they pull back, or they just start, in being reactive instead of proactive. They just try to react to whatever the other team brings on. So I felt a little bit better once we got the first goal, and we still continued to attack. After the second goal, I was pretty comfortable that we were getting, that we were going to be okay on our side too. So, everything just lined up, and I think it was a good game and a good win, and definitely, I think we totaled so far with this 56 million euros, which helps us out a lot, being that we didn't make it to the Champions League last year.
I am going to turn my attention to Nelson. What was your initial thoughts of the result of the three clubs in Champions League?
Listen, I did think when I first saw the group, when I first saw the groups, I did think Sporting had probably the easiest group. I didn't realize at the time. I didn't realize Ajax was this strong. I did think Porto had the hardest group, and I think he was definitely the hardest group out of the three. And on Benfica's group, like on paper, yes, we all know about Bayern. We don't even need to look at it on paper. We knew Bayern was going to be tough, but it's still on paper. We still thought Barcelona was going to be something good. But right as soon as it started, Barcelona was already struggling in the league. Barcelona got pounded 5-0 or 4-0 at home by Bayern in the first game of the group stage. So we already know Barcelona was not the same. I mean, listen, describe Barcelona. Paulinho scored more goals in the stage in the group stage than the Barcelona team. That says it all right there. That just shows you how bad Barcelona was. Um, listen, once Sporting lost the first game to Ajax, and then the second game to Dortmund 1-0, I I was hoping for Europa League. I mean, you lose the first two games in the group stage, your chances of qualifying are pretty much down to like almost nothing. But we were able to win the next three games, and and that was it. You know what I mean? Like we got through. As for Porto, like we talked about this after the Milan game, they dominated Milan on the road. They were winning that game, and they ended up playing that game. And same thing in this last game. Porto had so many chances to score first against Athletic Madrid, and they could not have. They could have put the ball in the net. They missed some goals there in the first half, especially, and then they allowed the first goal, and then they allowed the second one. And that was it. And Benfica against Kiev. Listen, the first half, yes, Benfica played good in the first half. I think Benfica had a miserable second half. And Brian Ruiz missed a wide open net for Dinamo Kiev when the score was 0-0. And I think if Brian Ruiz scores there, and Benfica goes down 1-0, it might be a different game. You start having doubts in your mind again. And shit, we down 1-0. Now we got to score two. You start putting more pressure on yourself. But overall, listen, I'm very happy with Sporting. Like I say, I thought we had a chance to advance before we started playing. After the first two games, I was hoping for Europa League. Benfica, when they went to Barcelona, I thought Barcelona was going to beat them and eliminate them. They were able to tie the game and almost win at the end. And Porto, I think it all comes down to the Milan game. But at the same time, I want to say congratulations for going directly into the knockout stage of the Europa League without having to play the group stage. That's very important. So congratulations.
Well, this is what I'll say. I mean, starting with my club first. I mean, yesterday we had, more than enough chances that we've created to win the game. We didn't qualify not because of yesterday. We didn't qualify because of the game at Milan, where we should have won the game handedly with the amount of scoring chances that we created. The game at Madrid was obviously tainted. Let's not forget that there was a clean goal disallowed. If it wasn't a clean goal, it was a penalty, but one has to be called, not or the other. Obviously, both in Porto's favor, not disallowing and not calling a PK, and Atletico's favor, that's kind of kept them alive. The Liverpool game, both home and the one at home, obviously was a disaster. The one away, we had chances to at least go 2-0 up, and we didn't get the job done. Yesterday was a microcosm of the Champions League campaign for Porto. They just had more than enough chances. They didn't score, and they got punished for it. That's the old rule of soccer. Que no marca sofre, and you don't score, you're gonna suffer.
Yep.
As for Wendell, that situation with Wendell. I mean, would put himself in that situation. I think he's a guy that, if you listen closely to what Sergio Conceição said, I would not be shocked if he never plays again. I would not be shocked if he's going to be looking to be transferred by next month, because I think for Sergio Conceição, he no longer counts. You cannot do what he did. You can't put yourself in a situation where you just got up plus one man with 20 minutes left, and then 3 minutes later you get yourself red carded. That was just pure stupidity on his part. He's a player that is very seasoned at by this time, and for him to do something like that, there's just no room for it, and he's got to go. And another thing about him, if you're struggling to beat out Zaidu, then you can't play Porto. And Zaidu was horrible yesterday once again. Mabimba was bad. Pep was probably our best player. I think a lot of producers are all over Taremi. Dude, some guys are asking for his benching and this now. Who are you going to put in? You gonna put in Tony Martinez? Really? Tony Martinez is his first name is already on the transfer list. All he's missing is the last name, and then he's out because he hasn't proven anything other than being a bust so far. Taremi is at least assisting on goals. He participates in a lot of the offensive attacks that we do. So that was that. As for Sporting, I thought Sporting was a complete surprise. I didn't think that they were going to pass out of this group. They were able to catch Borussia Dortmund without Haaland twice, and I think that was the key because once he does play, he scores. Once again, he proved it yesterday. Um, I think that Sporting had a little luck with catching Dortmund not 100%. Besiktas was absolutely horrendous this year. I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened with them. They have on paper they have a pretty good team. Unfortunately, in practice they don't do very well. And who was the other team that you got? Ajax. Ajax is just they're killing everybody. And once again, they put on a clinic yesterday against Sporting. As for Benfica, you know, a lot of people will argue, well, it's not the Barcelona of the regular, it's not Barcelona of yesteryear, or it's still Barcelona. It's not the same Barcelona. But that's not Benfica's problem. That's Barcelona's problem. Benfica handled the business that they had to. They had to beat them, and that's exactly what they did. They ran into a Bayern that they can just turn it on at any moment, and they'll just destroy you and put 3-4 goals on you in the blink of an eye. The other team was Dinamo Kiev. Both games, Dinamo Kiev had also chances to win, like Benfica did. Today was proof. Vlaco Dimos was very big for them again, or they could have crashed out. Dinamo Kiev right now is trying to establish themselves as the champion or not let Shakhtar win the league again because they interrupted their run for like 4 or 5 years in a row last year. So Dinamo now is back, but are they able to hold on? They had a pretty decent lead in the Ukrainian league, and now they're actually tied, I think, with Shakhtar. The last time I checked. So Porto now goes to the Europa League, which I'm going to pull up in a second. Their potential opponents. We have to go into a playoff right now. I think it's a playoff. You're going to play a series of teams. There's a series of teams that you're going to catch. Obviously, you know there's some teams that you would, on paper, you would like to avoid, but I'm honestly not scared of any of them because they're probably feeling the same way about us. I think that Sporting and Benfica are going to have a very difficult time in the next round. Just remember, I want to make sure I remind Lingish because he's all happy. He advanced to the round of 16. The last time and the only time that Sporting made it to the round of 16, the aggregate was 12-1. Let's not forget that. If you guys catch a Bayern Munich again, and you can, that can happen again.
We won't.
I'm sorry?
We won't.
You won't. You won't be able, but you can catch an Ajax.
Exactly.
You can catch an Ajax, and
I'll take Lille.
Well, do you really want to? Because the Lille of the French league and the Lille of the Champions League are two different ones. They are night and day. They are seeming just to play Champions League, and they're not really interested too much in the French league because they're on the bottom half of that league, which is crazy. Lingers wants Manchester United.
So who can we catch?
When Ronaldo scores a couple of goals on Sporting and eliminates them, then he's going to be all mad and he's going to say that Cristiano Ronaldo is not a true Sportingista.
If I had to choose, I'll be honest with you guys. If I had to choose for Sporting, I would say Lille or Man U or Juventus. I want one of those three teams.
Yeah, I take Juventus. I'll take Juventus.
For Benfica, I want Liverpool.
I'll take Manchester United, really.
For Benfica, I want Liverpool, Man City, or Ajax.
Real Madrid?
Real Madrid is starting to play real well, by the way, guys. Real Madrid is putting a beating in the league. Vinicius, that kid is really coming on strong. And But no, I don't want Real Madrid. I want Man City. Well, the problem with Man City is their fucking players might score goals in their own net because they fucking lampions. But they might score goals in their own net. So maybe I don't want Man City. Maybe I just want Liverpool. I definitely want.
I think the draw comes out on Monday, I believe,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, Monday.
So again, and a lot of people they go through this thing of you get the draw and you're like, oh, it's gonna be easy. You don't know what's gonna happen 2 to 3 months from now when you start playing again. Form goes up, goes down. Players go up and down in form as well.
I don't want to see Ajax Bayern Munich because I really think Ajax can pretty much beat everybody else in the Champions League.
Other than Bayern Munich?
Other than Bayern, yes.
It's possible. But then again, Ajax can beat them.
Oh, but Ajax cannot play them because they both finished first, so that's a good thing. But they can get like a PSG or whatever.
PSG.
They can't. Who? Who? They can get who?
PSG finished second, so Ajax can actually get PSG.
Yes, they can. Yep.
PSG is, again, that might be well, actually that's a good time to catch PSG because that's close to Carnival and Neymar is not available.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
So that actually might be a good opportunity to catch a PSG. Real Madrid, like I said, I think a lot of people might be sleeping a little bit on Real Madrid. They're low key coming on, like you mentioned. You better be careful with them. The one team that you better be very surprised about, you guys won't be able to catch them, but is either Villarreal or Atalanta. That's one first place team you do not want to play.
Yeah, you don't want to play Atlanta.
You don't want to play them.
Nope.
The Chelsea I'm surprised that Chelsea finished second. That was the big surprise. And how Sevilla didn't get out of this group, I don't know either, but it is what it is.
Chelsea can play Benfica.
Juventus finished first.
Who?
Juventus won the group. So Chelsea.
Yeah, no, Mulenga is just saying Chelsea and Benfica, they can't play each other. They're both second in groups.
I would like Sporting to catch Liverpool. I want to see what Mulenga would say.
Listen, I'll be honest with you. We'll take on any.
No, I think Sporting right now wants the rematch against Bayern.
We'll take on anybody. We're not scared.
Yeah, that's a good one, George. I'd like to see Ajax, Benfica, and Bayern Munich Sporting. That would be good.
Ajax, Benfica. I wouldn't mind Ajax. That would be a good game.
Listen, you put Ajax, Benfica, and you start Andrea Almeida in one side and Grimaldo on the other side, and those guys are going to fly by them like they're not even standing there.
I will say this. Porto has a better chance of winning Europa League than you guys win Champions League.
You don't know. Like,
I don't know about that.
Imagine all these guys get injured and they got to play with a second string team.
Who?
Like all the players for Bayern get injured, all the players for Liverpool get injured, all the players for.
Only if they drink some bad blue moons.
Yeah, no, maybe. Remember with Tanya Harding, like broke the girl's knee because she wanted to win the gold medal. Maybe that shit can happen again.
Well, this is the teams that Porto could catch: Rangers, Betis, PSV, Real Sociedad, Spartak Moscow, Legia Warsaw, Napoli, Leicester, Frankfurt, Olympiacos, Galatasaray, Lazio, Midtjylland, Red Star Belgrade, Genk, and Dinamo Zagreb. I don't think any of those teams, I would say, I'm scared of playing. We can beat any single one of them. And like I said, I think this is where Porto could go on a little run. But we'll wait and see. We'll see who we get. We will see who we get. Anything else you guys want to cover? Golden Ball. We didn't get a chance to talk about that. George, if you could go briefly into the Golden Ball. Did you agree with it? Disagree with it?
I absolutely disagreed with it. Obviously, I think this is like probably the third time that Messi wins the Golden Ball without really deserving it. When you really look at it, I think it's ridiculous that you award. Number one, I don't think you could take it away from Lewandowski.
No.
I think so. So this is what I think I sent you the article. I sent you what Klopp said yesterday, and I'll read it to our viewers because I think he hit it writing the nail. Which to me it makes absolutely no sense. But I'll read it to you. So this is what Klopp said in regards to the Golden Ball. So if it's for individual stats, Lewandowski scored 64 goals last year or this year, which is something that you don't really see. If you're talking about titles, Jorginho from Chelsea, he won the Champions League, he won the European Cup with Italy. He won the Supertaça d'Europa with Chelsea as well. If you're talking about world records, then it's Cristiano Ronaldo who beat a whole bunch of records the last year. But but instead of that, you choose to give it to a player that won the Copa America, which is Nelson Littler's favorite competition, which I think they play like 4 games or something like that, and there's no extra times in knockoff stages. It's like the most ridiculous thing that I've ever seen. It's ridiculous. So last year, because of COVID, you didn't give it to Lewandowski. This year, you don't give it to Lewandowski, but yeah, you give it to Messi because that's, from a marketing perspective, that's what FIFA likes. Horrible.
I'll just add this real quick. Listen, they had 5 Copa Americas in the past 6 years. They had 4 Euros in the past 16 years. They kept adding more Copa Americas just to see if this guy would finally win one.
No, that's right.
Could say that he had an international trophy. I mean, how can you have? It's either 5 or 4 Copa Americas since 2015. How can you have 5 Copa Americas in 6 years, dude? How is that even fucking legit? Fucking no overtime until the final. The final was the only game that had overtime. Fucking, it's a joke. Whoever watches that fucking stupid thing, whoever wastes 5 minutes to watch that fucking thing, either has to be fucking Peruvian or Colombian or whatever the fuck they come from. Because if you're European and you waste time watching the fucking shit, like, I don't know what's wrong with you. I watched 0 minutes of that. They kept adding Copa Americas and Copa Americas for this guy to finally win one. It's the same thing. Like, would you guys like if Ronaldo never won anything and all of a sudden we have 3 Euros in 4 years to see if Ronaldo would win one? I would not want that shit. That would take away from the competition. And this is exactly it. This is a bullshit competition. It's almost like fucking a Taça da Liga quando foi criada para o Benfica ganhar alguns troféus que já estava atrás do Porto nos troféus. It's fucking garbage. It's a shame, dude. Lewandowski.
It's already bad enough the qualifications to the World Cups that those freaking jokers 4 or 5 teams go pass on that side. It's ridiculous. A joke.
Lewandowski not winning this was a shame. At least George just sent me a video from the next Copa America, and I'm okay with that one.
I see Juice Box's comment here, and this is a big one. And he's right. League One still has to do with 2021. He hasn't done anything in League One. Why was he given this? I'm sorry?
1 goal in League One.
I don't understand how they gave him. Like, I would love to have the whoever the writer is of France Football or whatever to come out and explain the criteria of their picks, because I was having a debate with a couple of my players, and a couple of them are Argentinian, and they were like, "But Messi. I mean, Ronaldo actually has two golden balls of Messi's," and I said, "Well, if Ronaldo has 2 golden balls of Messi's,
How how,
I
how,
mean,
how does how does Ronaldo have two golden balls at Messi's? I don't understand.
I'll tell you, because they were saying that one year it was stats and one year was trophies. I said, well, it does apply the other way too. There was one year that Ronaldo had one more, and they had one year he had it statistically much better. And at the end of the day, still gave it to Messi. So which one is it? Is it stats or is it trophies? Which one is it? Taking your point with Klopp, it is so fair to say like that is just the hypocrisy at its finest. He just broke it down for everybody. You want to give it because of the team trophies, you have to give it to somebody. You want to do stats, you got to give it to this guy. And if you want to do it because of international competition, then you got to give it to that
What
guy.
about what about the year Modric won? What
Yeah.
that was Ronaldo's trophy.
Just Bob just mentioned that. How did Ronaldo not win that year? How did
What
he
about
win?
what about the year? What about the year? Not the year that he won at Manchester United. The prior year, he should have won it already. The prior year, I think who won it? Who was it? Kaká won it or something like that.
I
The
don't
year
know.
the
I'll
year
tell you,
prior.
the one year that I remember that was blatantly robbed was 2011, and that should have been Snyder's because his team won the Champions League, which was Inter, and then after they won, or he went to the final with Holland against Spain in the World Cup, or that was 2010. Sorry, and he didn't win. They gave it to Messi. Even if you wanted to give it to Messi, the guy that should have gone in second place might have been Iniesta, and the third place should have been Xavi. Messi shouldn't have even been in the top 3, and he won.
Listen, I think we all agree that Messi has been a great player. I don't think anybody's disputing that he's a great player, that he's been a great player. But there's no way he should have won this year. It's a shame. That other year that you mentioned, same thing. But this one to me was the worst one by far. Lewandowski not winning this one was a completely embarrassment. You know, and listen, it is what it is. Let him win. At least like he's. Listen, I like when little kids win stuff. So little people should win shit once in a while too. So let him win. You know what I mean? So he doesn't get all hurt and start crying and shit. But it was definitely embarrassing.
Well, and then if you hear what Lewandowski said at the end, because he mentioned something that he even says, and they invented a trophy for him and top striker or something like that, and they gave it to him.
Exactly.
That was just absolutely. It was ridiculous. I think Lewandowski should have won 2 years in a row. The Modric one, I still don't understand how he won. I think Mbappe probably deserved it more than him.
I heard Modric that year you want to buy a nose. Was that true?
No, dude. That year was it was a Real Madrid freaking job, dude. Real Madrid didn't want to give it to Ronaldo because that's the year that Ronaldo transferred out of Real Madrid. So they gave it. They fixed it to give it to somebody else that was in the Real Madrid team that won the Champions League. That's all it was.
Just to stick it to him.
I'll explain the Gonzalo Plata story.
So he was hanging out with Nelson Litra?
No, so Gonzalo Plata was extremely drunk, got into a car crash last night, got arrested over in Spain, got a lot of weed. So that's what happens when you drink.
With Nelson Smith or no?
No, I don't think Nelson Smith was with them.
Not Nelson Smith, what was Ruben Smith.
Ruben Smith vai ter que ficar com ele agora in January.
I hope not, man. I do not want him on my team. I don't want him. He's a troublemaker.
I think that's one of the things that's between Rui Costa and Jorge Jesus, because Jorge Jesus wants, for whatever reason, wants to bring him to Benfica, and Rui Costa said no way, he's not coming to Benfica.
And he's
not with the history. Not with the history.
He's a Benfica, you know that, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, but.
And another thing I was going to say about Lewandowski, do you guys actually think Bayern Munich is already so much stronger than Barcelona? But do you actually think, knowing that Messi came from Barcelona, the Lewandowski and Bayern would not want to win this fucking game against Barcelona. Like, if
I know, right?
doesn't play there anymore, no fucking way, dude.
Dude, but I'll tell you something. They did something that a lot of other teams wouldn't do. A lot of other teams would not put their starting 11 or most of their starting 11 in a game like this. They wouldn't. I bet you one thing. I bet you if it was Jorge Jesus made a big deal about it, I bet you Jorge Jesus wouldn't put the starting 11 in this game.
14 didn't.
If it was the other way around, if Benfica had qualified, I bet you reverse the things. No, you wouldn't.
I said he
Crazy.
would. I said, of course he would.
Yeah, exactly. So
He would not.
He would not. Yeah, he would not.
I mean, Ruben Amorim didn't do it either. He benched a lot of guys.
Yeah, but their qualification.
Yeah,
was
but they're
done.
qualified already. They wouldn't.
And
Nothing
there
would
was
have
no-
changed. Nothing would have changed, and that score would not influence another team either way. So
Well, listen, and I think it's the first time Barcelona is playing in the Europa League.
first time in 18 years they don't make it to the 16th.
Yes.
And well, you know what? And I hate to say it, but I don't think you're going to see Barcelona making it for a couple of years. The way they're structured for the next couple of years, they're in a lot of trouble. And by the way, they can only thank one guy, Messi.
I don't think it's Messi. I had this argument. I had this argument with friends of mine. It wasn't Messi. To me, it was the president of the Spanish league, because Spanish league has their own fair play.
Right. I get that, but
And they haven't made Barcelona follow it in the last few years. But listen, that's what you get. You want to pay somebody 150 million euros a year? That's what you get. That's what they paid him. Messi took home 75 million, and Barcelona paid another 50% of that. Well, not another 50%. Paid another 75 in
Right.
taxes. So 150 million a year for just one player.
right. So that's why I'm saying, but Barcelona always wanted to keep Messi, but they kept on kicking the can down the road till you couldn't kick it down the road anymore. And then it got to a point where, well, what do I do now? Even if he wanted to play for free, they couldn't because it's against the rules. And at the end of the day, he's the one that really screwed them long term, because they can't sign anybody now. They have no money whatsoever. They're basically going to have to play an academy team for the next couple of years. And obviously that's not good enough. This is not good enough.
But that's the thing is that they just gave the house away to him. They gave him 150 million a year, plus he had like almost 100% of his rights, which is unheard of.
George, you hear their fans, they talk about they're blaming Griezmann, they're blaming
Bartomeu, whatever.
Umtiti, they're blaming
Dembele.
Dembele, they're blaming all these guys. Dude, that wasn't the guy. It was Messi that was the guy.
Yeah, but
No, they expect these guys to just walk away from their contracts now. Yeah, right.
but
No, it's impossible. It's impossible. But at the end of the day, I mean, he really put them in a bad situation financially. They have no more money. They might be the Atletico Madrid for the next 10 to 15 years.
Oh,
And
I don't even.
No, I'm talking about the Atletico Madrid of like the 90s and early
Yeah.
2000s, where
After
they were
after the Futre years and stuff like
Right,
that, where they got in trouble. Yeah.
that's where I see Barcelona going. They're going to go through a very dark period in history, and there's no solution anywhere near. Listen, let's be honest. Real Madrid got rid of Ronaldo right at the right time. That's what Barcelona probably should have done with Messi, and they didn't. And they.
But I don't agree with that Real Madrid thing, because you look back and Messi's been out of Real Madrid for how long? 4 years?
Messi?
No, Ronaldo. I'm sorry, Ronaldo. 4
Yeah.
years, right?
Yeah.
How many semifinals of the Champions League have they made? How many quarterfinals have they made?
They haven't. Real?
Yeah,
They
they
haven't.
haven't.
But
They
neither. But Barcelona with Messi, I don't think has either.
Yeah, but you're talking about Ronaldo. Ronaldo was making 30 million. 30 million to 150 million is a big difference.
I know that.
I do think in January, once Barcelona signs Darwin for 100 million, I think
They can't. Even if they wanted, if they're talking about Holland, they can't sign nobody.
They can't sign
They
anybody.
can't sign anybody. You know what their hope is. Their hope is that Iniesta will come and play for free for them. That
At 39,
dude, Dani Alves. How old is Dani Alves? He came to play for free, but at least those guys, you got to respect them because they came to play for free. Now you have this freaking Messi that took him for a ride for 10 years, and now they said, "Oh, now goodbye, see you tomorrow." You guys deal with it now.
yeah, you deal with it.
At least you got to respect that.
Here's Juicebox. La Liga is going downhill. Serie A too. Listen, Serie A was attracting some players when Ronaldo was there, but once they got rid of CR7, not many people want to go in Serie A anymore. And that was a transitional league, really a transitional league, meaning, all right, I just got done with my prime. I am still got 3-4 good years left in me. I'm going to go play in Italy. That's not even that league anymore. And I can't say La Liga is going to be the same way because the one thing that I will say about La Liga is there's a lot of very good young players. They're just not superstars. They're just really good players. They just don't have the marketability. And now it's the EPL to take over and own all of European soccer for a while. The one league that you guys should watch, a lot of people that it's totally underrated, is actually the Bundesliga. It's a very good league. The Bundesliga is very good. You take away
the problem with the Bundesliga is that there's you have Bayern that's a financial giant, then you just can't compete with them.
You can't compete with them exactly because they make a Bundesliga All-Star team every year. They play they pick up the best player.
You look at the Italian league. The Italian league hasn't been the same since the Milan years of Rijkaard, Gullit, Van Basten. Those years, those were the golden years. After that, it was all downhill. Now it's the Italian version of the MLS. It's where players that are 37, 38, 39, 40, that's where they go retire.
They go retire, right? And going back to the Bundesliga, like I said, you take Bayern out, that's a very good league. It's a very competitive league. You don't watch a Bayern game, you watch any other team play one another. It's always very entertaining league. So they actually, it's very balanced too. I mean, the last place team could easily take out the second place team, for example.
Yeah.
But just the problem is the first place team. All right. Anything else you guys want to cover before we end?
Yeah, prediction for the weekend.
Epa, that's right. We got a big game this week. I won't tell you which one.
I know which one.
Oh, let's see. Round 14 starts Friday. Passo Ferreira, Gil Vicente, Marítimo Santa Clara. That's Nelson's two favorite teams. Guimarães Tondela, Sporting, and Boa Vista. Nelson, what do you got?
I say Sporting 2. We don't allow goals, so 0. Boa Vista.
George, this is, I think, the second game for Petit in action for Boa Vista as he returns to his old club. Does he have enough to pull out a draw?
3-0 Boa Vista.
3-0 Boa Vista?
I mean, Sporting. Sorry.
Sporting.
Wow,
I was about to say you're high.
I was about to
3-0 Sporting.
I think it's going to be a lot tougher. It's going to be Sporting 1-0. Sporting 1-0. Moreirense, Portimonense, Belenenses, Estoril. I think Bessade is actually going to play this game. Famalicão, Benfica. Tricky game, George.
1-0 Benfica.
Nelson, can Famalicão answer back after getting drilled 4-0 at home?
Yes, I think they can. I believe in them. I think it's time for Benfica to come back down to third. So I say Famalicão 1, Benfica 1, 6 points behind, and let the internet go away again.
I predict one of the three will lose points.
Famalicão, I just don't see Vieira do it to Benfica because he's a lampion. Famalicão 1, Benfica 2, late magic by Furacão Darwin. The big game of the weekend is Porto and Sporting de Braga. This was going to be a tough one. I say 2-1 Porto. George, I'm sorry, it's Porto versus Benfica B.
Who?
Porto versus Benfica B.
Porto Braga?
Yeah.
1-1.
Nelson.
I think Porto will win the game. I think Porto wins the game 2-1.
Okay. And then it would be Aruca and Vizela battle down at the bottom. All right, guys. We're going to try to do this next week because I think next week is the last week before. No, there's still one more week of games before the Derby or the Classic. Sorry. We just got a question here. Bruno, what's going on with the financial thing going on? And apparently Sporting and Porto have to pay outstanding debts or get a 3-year UEFA suspension.
Yep.
Those are just small transfer fees that are still not paid. They're just outstanding. Porto apparently has to pay Zaidus 42,000 euros. We can discount those 42,000 from Pinto Costa Jr. Make him pay it, and I don't know who does Sporting owe money to. Nelson.
Everybody and their mother. Sorry,
Well,
did I say that?
We don't owe anybody money. We're good. We pay everybody.
Well, Benfica just got sued by Boaventura.
Boaventura.
Yeah, for 800,000
He wants 800,000. That is right.
for Tavares transfer.
Tavares deal, right, to Arsenal. Again, I keep saying this. I say this on my show on Contireto. That there is more and more BS that's going to be coming out in the next couple of months that most people don't know. But this is going to touch all of them. Every club in Portugal is doing the same exact thing.
Did you hear about the? Did you hear about the group that owns the Boston Red Sox, the Liverpool FC, wanting to buy? They made an offer of over 100 million to buy Sporting's debt.
I saw that. Yes.
Mhm.
Hey, I mean, didn't Red Bull wanted to buy Sporting?
And you had
Red
some
Bull-
you had some visitors, interesting visitors last week too, right?
Yeah, they were a little. They were part of the Chinese government.
Hmm.
We debate this all the time, and we've talked about this over and over again. There's a lot of people that would love to see foreign ownership in Portugal. It just does not. It's not going to work. It's not going to work in our league and in our country. One, because of the cultural thing. People don't understand that I cannot be owned. Fans don't understand that there is an owner now that runs the show. They think it's still a president. They think they can. Well, we'll go to votes and we'll vote him out. No, he bought the club. That's it. Like, you don't have a say. He or she does whatever they want. The problem with foreign ownership in Portugal is, and we've seen this in the past with other clubs, if they see that they're not making money, they're going to pull their money and they're going to go somewhere else with that money. You know what stays behind? A moneyless, broke club. And you know where you're going to go? You're going to go straight down to the 4th division like Farense did and Beira-Mar and so on and so forth. So it's not practical for Portugal. I'm sorry.
Agree.
Nelson, do you disagree?
Nelson's been wanting to get bought out already for like 30 years. What are you talking about?
Listen, I think it needs to go okay. I'm actually purchasing Sporting in the next few years. And, once I sell my Bitcoins, I'm going to take over for them. And then everybody's done in Portugal because I'm just going to go and get Mbappe, Haaland, Pedri, and we're going to win for 30 straight years.
30
He
straight
means
years.
he means in cromos. He means in cromos.
Ah,
In VMOX. VMOX.
VMOX.
He's gonna VMOX Alan too.
All I got to say is, like, and I'll be honest with you guys, once you guys started talking numbers, I was like, oh, I'm so fucking tired from yesterday. I wasn't even listening that much anymore.
That's how much money he has, ladies, that watch this show.
But one thing I'll say, guys, it's like I think there's a big cleanup that needs to happen. I think these teams are all digging themselves a bigger and bigger hole, and I got a feeling eventually it's going to be too big of a hole to climb out of it, and a lot of teams are just going to be like you say, all the way down there. But at the same time, ever since these bullshit SADs were invented, instead of playing regular teams, you're just going to be playing Portimonense SAD, Ferenc SAD, everybody's SAD, which is bullshit. Like, because I'll be honest with you guys, if Sporting ever went to the 4th division, right, and then Sporting SAD stayed in the 1st division, I promise you guys, I'll give you guys my word, I will not celebrate any title that Sporting SAD will win. None of them.
I don't even understand that crap. Really, it's like it's a joke.
What?
Confusing as shit. Yeah, how that works with the Belenenses and stuff like that. Like, it's just stupid.
Well, we all agreed that Bissad has to go just for the better good of the league, because once they drop, that's it. They're just gonna be done. And and that president is just gonna tag on with another club, and he's gonna try to do some BS. The same BS he did with Belenenses, he's gonna do with somebody else. And that's how. And Nelson said it's true. This is what we're gonna expect. More and more, you're gonna find out. Sporting is involved. Porto is involved. Benfica is involved. Guimarães, Braga, Belenenses, Marítimo, so on. They're all doing the same thing because they figured out a way, a quote unquote loophole, that it's not really a loophole. At the end of the day, they're getting caught. Even the prime minister is involved in this stuff. He's involved, bro. There's no way around it. It's all going to come out. Now the question is Portuguese justice system, are they going to punish these people? And we all know this is Portugal. Most likely that's not going to happen, and it'll just get brushed under the rug. The smaller guy will have to pay, probably some driver of somebody, like everybody else. And at the end of the day, nothing's going to happen to them. That's just how it goes.
Because let me ask you that question. If it was Porto SAD in the 1st division and Porto is not in the 1st division anymore, and would you celebrate their titles, honestly?
If they weren't in the 1st division?
No, if Porto SAD stayed in the 1st division, but Porto, Futebol Clube do Porto, like Belenenses, Futebol Clube do Porto, the one that plays at Dragão, was not in the 1st division.
Nelson, I don't even know, bro. I never even thought about it. I don't even know. I don't even know how to answer that, because
remember, if Porto SAD won a title, that would be their first title. It would not be a continuation of the Porto title. You know
right? No, I get what you're saying. I mean, they could probably carry the logo and all this other stuff, but then it's divided, and it just gets complicated from there.
I couldn't do it, brother. I think that would be the day I would stop watching Sporting forever.
It's and that could very well happen to me, because listen, I was, when I was younger, I was all into all other sports, baseball, basketball, and hockey and such. And once they got to the lockouts and the strikes and all that, I lost interest in every single sport. I'm only interested in football and soccer now. I don't follow any other sport, to be honest. Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Baseball's in another lockout this year.
Yeah, I can't. I am not going to be wasting my time with those other sports, because if you're going to do that to the fans, then whatever. So I just don't pay attention to that. I couldn't name a player from the teams that I used to follow. I don't know not one player.
I'm the same way. I used to watch every Sunday. I used to watch all the NFL games and everything. I'm never home on a Sunday now. I don't remember the last time I actually sat down at home and watched a full sports game on TV.
But yo, dude, but you're
Queres
always,
um vagabundo agora? O que é que queres?
oh, but hold on a second. You're always at City Rub. They have plenty of TVs with the NFL ticket.
No, he's getting rubs, but he's not at City Rub. He's somewhere else.
The only football games I watched this season was a Michigan football team because I'm a big Michigan fan, and we made it to the Final Four.
That is probably where I'd probably spend majority of my time. I would probably just look more into college football. I follow college football often, but I mean, I'd probably be very into college football, or more so than what I am already. But
Yeah.
All right, guys. It
Yeah.
is. It was a very interesting debate today. We will be back next week at some time, so make sure you stay tuned to our page. Make sure you hit like and subscribe and tell your friends, and hopefully we'll get some more people to interact. We had Mlingers that was very active. Obviously, he always thinks every week Sporting is the only big three that is going to win. Everybody else is going to draw or lose. We have, and then we have Juicebox that does come with some really good points, some valid points. But we will also we didn't see Brian this week. I don't know what happened with Brian. Moreirense is down at the bottom. He's struggling right now. He is a Moreirense fan, to be honest. Brian Nestor. All right, guys. For everybody, we'll see you guys next week. Have a good week.
Good night.
Ciao.
Have a good week, man. Bye.